Hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. For me, the time is changing in this part of the world 1 hour early. So that is like 7 o'clock for me over here, AM in the morning. And I hope it is 7 in India at right now in the evening. So we have around 12 hours time difference. Look like a beautiful day for me, and Sunday is always a little more relaxed. And when you have some time to spend with somebody who share the same kind of passion, that's even more interesting. We have an interesting character today, an amazing photographer who was always a nature lover, but then end up in discovering himself, discovering his love, discovering his passion in photography, in nature, with birds during the time of COVID. So, some of us definitely do discover a lot more about ourselves during this COVID time. So, we have one of such guests who is an amazing photographer, an amazing person in general, as Sushmeet, who is going to join us here to share his journey as a photographer, specifically focusing on nature and on birds. So let's welcome him. Let's hear his story from him. All right. Hello.
Hi, Nisha. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you? How was your day?
It's been good. I've been just thinking about this moment. I've been looking forward to talking to you and share my journey, how it's been. And you've pretty much summed it up in a minute of how the COVID and the lockdown period has helped me uh, reignite the passion which I never knew existed. But yeah, the tough times brought it forward, and now I'm very happy that I'm where I want to be.
That is great. That is great. Unfortunately, Hermis is not going to join us. He has some medical issues, so which is sad. He was so excited to be with you over here. Unfortunately, he cannot. Sorry for that, but then I will try to manage things without to cover up his absence. But let's see. So,
Absolutely.
starting with your journey, you mentioned that you started with COVID, but if you can elaborate or if you can jump into your presentation, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'll of course start with my. I'll talk about my journey in a
Yes,
minute or so. But
yes,
yeah, initially I would just like to tell people that since we're talking about bird photography today,
yeah,
the gear is like a family member to me. So my camera, my lens, my softwares, they are like I spend more time with them. My wife actually gets angry that you're more time on the with the camera and the lenses and the softwares than you spend with me, but she understands my love for it. So I currently use a Nikon D850, and since I'm a birder, the lens that I've been using is a 200 to 500 f5.6. Planning to
uh-huh.
upgrade it soon. Yeah, you've been very helpful in terms of telling me also and making the right decision of what I should go forward with. And I've
No worries.
personally realized that gimbal head, it really helps as a tripod. It really helps
Yeah,
us to use have the maneuverability to be able to
yeah,
use things well. In terms of the software that I use, I'm going to come back to it because I want to talk to people, whosoever is watching,
sure.
what is required and what is not required. Is that,
Yeah,
of course, Photoshop is a very important part of our photography lives. Then
yeah,
some softwares that come along with it. Then I use a software called Topaz Denoise. Then for some creative stories and everything, I use Canva, which is really interesting software. And of
uh-huh.
course, Reels is in these days.
Okay,
So yeah, Premiere Rush is pretty simple. Yeah, I want to
okay,
take it further in the times to come, but yeah, it solves my purpose currently. So I'm very
sure.
happy with it. Yeah. So now coming to my journey,
Yeah,
like you asked, I'm sorry I came to the answer a little late,
no
but
worries.
you know, it started off in 2018 November. I went to Bharatpur with a couple of my friends, my wife's friends, husband, and the kid, and we all went and just thought that okay, we'll go and see birds because they are nature lovers, and I was like, okay, yeah, I also like nature pretty much, and I would like to see what we see there. So we went with a. They had a point and shoot camera, so We went there, and what happens with point and shoot cameras is the more you zoom in, the more shake comes. So yeah, they were unable to click the photos. So I asked my friend Anku that, okay, give me the camera, let me try and click. I ended up clicking 15, 20 good shots, and when I once I came back, he said, "Yeah, you click really nice photos." I said, "Oh yeah, really?" Then I started putting them up on social media, a couple of places, and I got really good response. Then I thought, okay, might as well, because since I'm enjoying it so much, might as well invest in a camera and see if I can make this into a good hobby.
That's
So
great.
yeah, so in December of 2018, I invested in a Nikon D850 and 200 to 500 lens, and that too has a very long story because I convinced my wife that, okay, let me save some money. Then in 6 months, I'll buy the camera, the lens, and then we'll start. Then it came down to 3 months. Then it came down to a month, and then within 3 days, I bought the camera, and my wife was like, "You bought it." It's because these cameras and lenses, they are like, okay, they're not very cheap. It's almost 3 to 3.5 lakhs of investment that goes into it. And she was like, you should have given it thought and then invested and all. So I said, yeah, it's okay, now let's just start. Then I went to in January. I bought it in December. January I went to Sultanpur National Park. The last time it was open, thankfully now it's opened again, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to go there. Sultanpur National Park is here in Gurgaon. So
Okay.
a nice place to go. I experimented with the camera a little bit, but yeah, there was a lot of research that went into the camera. So anyone who's watching this, I really want them to think, will watch a lot of YouTube videos, come to sessions like these, and understand what you want to do, because I think things change a lot when you want to do wildlife photography and when you want to do bird photography. The kind of photography that you want to do, a lot of
Yeah.
things matter, so you need to research a lot when buying a camera. So I
Mm-hmm.
did that bit of research. When I bought it, I again went in the field, made a lot of mistakes. So January I went to Sultanpur. After that, unfortunately, in February my mother passed away due
Oh,
to
sorry.
an ailment. But yeah, that time again, COVID had started in March, and that is when I started studying, researching, doing a lot of stuff. Went to my backyard because it was a lockdown and we couldn't go anywhere. So there's a small pond behind my society.
Mm-hmm.
I used to walk there every morning and click the bee eaters, the piranhas, the Jacobin cuckoos, a good bit of birds that I could see here, and started clicking them, and realized that, okay, if you know the settings, if you understand how everything works, you can really put up a good picture and
Okay.
enjoy what you're doing. So I started enjoying it. So that was my backyard birding, I would rather say. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went to, of course, Bharatpur. I've been to Satal, which is heaven on earth for me. I love that place. Pangot, then Old Magazine House, Ganesh Gudi, Dandeli. It's a very famous place. Then there's a place near Jaipur called Chandlai Lake. Then I went to Goa also, and I've been to recently. I've been to Bhigwan. It's a very famous place near Pune, where you get
Okay.
a lot of raptors and Indian grey wolf and a lot of other birds. So that's my journey, and till now, and I hope there's a long way to go. So that's how I got into photography, and I'm enjoying every day of it. And every day I end up researching. Still now I'm researching on a lot of things on how to improve my photography skills and how to move forward. So it's like a full time job for me. I have to balance between my corporate life and my personal life, which is this, and I love it. Yeah.
That's great. That's
So yeah. So
okay. Let's start with our presentation then.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
if like I said initially, also, we have to research on our gear. Like if I talk about Nikon only because Nikon's my favorite, no doubt about it. And if you talk about bird photography, then if someone wants to be completely into birding, the D500 is a very good option for that matter. So people need to research and understand what camera works best for you. These are the do's that I'm talking about for all the photographers out there who are, for starters specifically, because it's not necessary to buy the costliest gear. Understanding it and finding out the strengths of cameras also makes a lot of difference. So we have to know our gear, the strengths that our gears possess, and then we have to decide what we want and then invest in it. For people who already are camera owners, I think very few basics I'd like to mention here is that, it really helps me at least, is that when I click a shot, I have to hold my breath. And for me, that makes a world of difference in case you don't have a tripod or a bean bag, which I'll come to later on. Very important things. And once I hold my breath, I am able to get a good shot. So holding the camera correctly is very important. Now there's a big debate that keeps on happening all the time on, what mode should I use, because I also went through this phase, and I'm going to try and associate with everyone here, because I know the people who've recently got into photography. It takes a lot of questions come in our mind. So for me, I have thought about those questions and tried to answer. So there's always a question that, okay, should I use the shutter priority, aperture priority, or the manual mode? I feel that when you're talking about fixed subject, a subject when you have very good lighting and a fixed subject is sitting and it's not moving a lot, which hardly happens in birding, then probably aperture priority mode works. But the light has to be good. It's very important. And then if I talk about one mode where you are able to creatively also control everything that happens and do whatever you want. You want to keep it low key, you want to keep it a high key, you want to do experimentation, you want to make the if it's a reflection shot, you want to make it a soft reflection. So there's a lot of things that you can control. I think the manual mode is uh, I would say killer mode, because exposure compensation, again coming to it, is a very important thing when clicking photos. And especially, I'm sure everyone understands, when you're talking about full white or full black subjects, exposure compensation really helps. But exposure compensation only works with the manual mode mostly, so it really helps. So that's very important. uh, Click in raw mode because it gives you the wings. It's basically like the Red Bull for your photography editing. um, Raw is really helpful. Understanding of light is very important. You have to know, like, they're very easily I researched on it, that I use a D850. I researched on Google, that okay, what is the strength, what is till what ISO can I take my camera before it starts to degrade the quality of the image. Every camera has that. So research about it and understand ISO, how it works for your camera. Understanding histogram is very important. It's going to take another session, long session, so I'm not going to go into details with that. And visualizing what you want to click is very important. Focus on the eye, extremely important. A lot of us just click and just keep on clicking. We don't have to click 20 shots of the bird or the subject in the same position. We have to move around, try to look for a smoother background, which gives the photo another look completely. So tripod, of course, tripod. If you are sitting in a place where birds are close by and you're not disturbing them much, tripod really helps. Otherwise, also it helps. And a lot of places, photography happens through cars. So a beanbag again becomes a very good friend of yours. Golden hour photography is another thing which comes with experience, and I can talk about it. The 3 4 steps that you need to do, and you can experiment post that, and everything changes for you. It really makes your photos stand out. And understanding editing, and more importantly, how colors are linked to each other, how colors affect each other, is very important. So that these are all my learnings, and I feel that these things are very important. Now coming to the strict don'ts, I would not take much time talking about that. Don't buy expensive gear, because if you want, if you can, you should. Otherwise, there are good cameras, good lenses in the right amount of money also. You should go for what
What you
strengths.
can afford, yeah.
Yeah. So do not rush. Think before clicking. That's the most important thing, because I guilty as charged. When I went to places like Satal Bharat for the first time, I was always concerned. Oh, bird bhag jayegi. It'll fly away. It'll fly away. But even if you don't think and click, it'll anyways. Even if it stays there, you'll not get a good shot. So you need to think and then click. Creatively, you have to think. Don't disturb the subject, which is of course a rule that all of us should follow, because they are creatures which are making our lives very nice, but we don't need to disturb them. Don't over edit your photos. Don't just try to click portraits that okay, I have to get the further details. Sometimes the best of shots are the most distorted ones. Like if you click a bird flying in a slow shutter speed, the eye and the head is in focus. Let's rest of the bird has got wings flapping. It gives a very creative effect. That it gives a feeling of motion. So always, it's not important to get everything in tack sharp and focus. Sometimes you can use it creatively as well. Don't use lower shutter speeds at if you're clicking handheld, because the cameras these days, of course, mirrorlesses are coming. They're lighter and everything, but still, shake always happens, even if you click with the light shutter speed. So don't go very low. I would suggest, like, depending on the camera, at least 200, 1 by 200 shutter speed is a must. And if you're using a tripod, then even click at 30, 1 by 30, it's absolutely fine. So don't again, then don't use unethical methods of editing, because I've come across a few people who I don't want to name anyone or anything, but yeah, editing, changing the background, I just feel that takes away the essence of the picture. So a lot of
Yeah.
people do that, and which should not be done, because it makes your job easy. And photography is not about making your job easy; it's about enjoying the moment and trying to get better every time. So
Yeah.
that's about it. Now, yeah, most important topic here. You can interrupt me anytime if you want. Anything.
No,
If
no.
I'm
I mean, as and when we have questions, I'll definitely bug you. But as of now, it's all hello from everyone. A lot of
hello
people over
everyone.
here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a very famous guy named Jared Polin. I'm a big fan of his. He's a fantastic guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has unbiased opinions over a lot of things. So one thing is, he promotes his I shoot raw. So yeah, the raw thing is very important. If you get a DSLR, if you get a mirrorless camera, if you're not clicking in raw, you're wasting your talent. You're wasting the camera's talent. So the
Yeah.
most important thing for each and every birder or a wildlife photographer out there is to click in raw, because trust me, once you understand how editing works, because our eyes can see better than any camera. They may
Yeah.
make a supercomputer of a camera, but what God has given us in form of these eyes, no one can match that. Not even the best of cameras in the world.
Yeah.
So, and our aim is to put what we see on the picture. So depending on a lot of situations, reflective lights through coming through leaves or through water, or some distracting elements behind us also affect the color of the subject.
Yes.
So, or us to click in raw helps us visualize and connect what we saw is to what we are putting on the photo. So that opens up. We very well know that all the colors are a mixture of whites and blacks,
Yeah.
and different intensities of these colors make different shades of gray. So for that, we need to understand how colors work. Very important. And yeah, like if I talk about RGB, CMY, R is related, the red is related to the cyan, the G is related to the magenta. So all these combination and understanding, there are a lot of researches that available, a lot of content available online. People need to study that, so that they realize that, okay, if I shift the color from here or there, what impact does it have on the photo? So there are softwares coming these days which are brilliant, which help you, you know check only the color that you want to particularly bring closest to reality is to what you saw. So raw is, of course, a very, very important thing. Now, understanding the exposure triangle, this is the toughest part, which I initially faced. Exposure triangle and exposure,
Yeah.
uh, so shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. I've put it very simply. I don't want to say that, okay, if you increase this, that decreases. I have simply put what I did while I was making this particular slide. I simply used my camera and did those things and wrote them down. It's very easy. If you increase the ISO, the exposure increases. The exposure increase means brightness increases. Noise will also increase. And if you have to, a perfectly exposed image is something that everything comes in detail, every highlights and shadows are in sync, and we don't lose any particular detail on the photo. So in case you increase the ISO, you have to increase the increase the shutter speed, so that the photo gets darker and compensates. So when you increase the shutter speed, automatically the subject gets frozen and you're able to click a better shot. This is how ISO works. Aperture, if we go from f2.8, f4, f5.6, these lower numbers means more light is coming in. Again, that can confuse a lot of people. Shallow depth of field means less f4 f value, and higher f value means more part of the photo is in focus. So if you increase the shutter speed and decrease the ISO also, it compensates for the aperture. Then coming to shutter speed, if you increase the shutter speed, the photo will get darker, action gets frozen. But in case you want to, if you keep on increasing the shutter speed and the subject gets darkened, then you're not able to get a good photo. For that, you have to compensate, you have to increase the ISO and reduce the exposure to compensate. Exposure compensation is a very helpful thing, because exposure compensation, the scale that you see here, the one that we saw see at the bottom here, it's basically helps us not change our shutter speed and everything and other settings, but still we are able to get the perfect kind of exposure on the photo. So this really helps in getting the right kind of photo that we need. Now, this is again a very famous line that I follow. I had put it, "The Eye of the Tiger." It's a famous song by, Rocky, the movie. The eye of the tiger or the bird. Choose your focus point carefully. So, I've realized this thing, initially, since I am slightly on the heavier side, I used to be lazy and I never used to get down to the eye level. Guilt charged again. Yeah. So, but I realized, this hoopoo that you see on the left hand side, I was sitting in the car. I was lucky; it was sitting on a perch, just at the same height that I was. And when I
Okay.
clicked this photo, this is from Sultanpur, Gurgaon, and
Mm-hmm.
this is one of my first photos that I clicked really nicely, because okay, God presented me with this opportunity that the bird came and sat beside me, and it was the at the eye level. But then when I started clicking these kind of photos, I realized that whenever we get down to the eye level, it feels like the bird kind of interacts with you. And the best moment is when either they are parallel to the camera or you sitting, or they look at you, because then it's you can weave a story around it. You end up thinking that, okay, what must this bird be doing, what is it that we're talking about, and everything, anything. If you can put lives into static pictures,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna love it. So I'm sure you very well know it. You're a champion at doing these kind of things. But yeah, all these photos, I've realized that once you feel the bird is at your level, it always is a very good interactive kind of a photograph.
Yeah.
Now, I predominantly want to be an extremely famous action photographer. I want to. I enjoy portraits, but I love action. And trust me, most of the action shots that I've gotten in my lifetime, which is very
Yeah.
short lifetime in bird photography, is when I've kept my I've been inquisitive. Okay, I'm sitting with two people. I'll tell you about this photo where we see a harrier probably has got a drongo sitting on top of it. We know that
Yeah.
the crows and the drongos, they mob a lot of birds.
Other
But
birds,
then,
yes.
yeah, there were two people along with me. I was in Tal Chapar, very
Mm-hmm.
close friends of mine. They were busy clicking these black bucks fighting, the ones that you see on the left. But
Yeah.
then I was very inquisitive. Okay, I've clicked two shots, done. Okay, let me look around. What am I getting? And suddenly I saw from diagonally on the left hand side that there was this uh, you know the harrier flying, and these I've got 6 7 shots of this, but this one turned out to be the best. And I just I didn't check the settings, to be honest,
Yeah.
and I just clicked, and this
Yes.
is the result that I got. It might not be the best of images, but this moment is one of the best, because it's very special to get these kind of shots. For that, you have to be keeping your mind open. They say that, okay, you have to have kind of 6 eyes. Yeah, focus on your. Once you are done, try to look around. You might get anything any moment, and when you are in midst of these amazing creatures, anything can happen anytime. So just be active, tell your
Yeah.
story. It's your special moment. It's what differentiates you. So this is my aim, to get 10,000 more of these shots on. Hopefully I'll get them someday. Yeah.
Mm,
And of
sure.
course, talking about these photographs, of course, these have been, I would say, 50% has been luck, Why I say luck is because the more time we give to photography, the more rewarding it is. It's a true
I
statement,
agree.
stands true for everyone. But yeah, the leftmost photo here is from Corbett, and I didn't even go to Corbett. I've not been to Corbett for bird photography. I went in July, but it was raining for 3 days. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything except a crimson sunbird, which was like, okay, I got one lifer. It's good for me. So this property Lebua, just below that,
Hmm.
there's a point where we get these collared falconets, and
Okay.
people are so much aware that the people I went with, they said, 2 baje, 2 o'clock, it'll come and sit here. Just wait. I set up my tripod on the perch. I took it to the topmost level because the point was slightly higher.
Okay.
Our aim was to give the photo an effect that it's on eye level shot. So if you look at this photo, it might look like an eye level shot. It's not. It was
Okay.
almost 10 feet above me. So I had to pick the right kind of angle. I had to
Okay.
work into minus point 0.2 of exposure compensation because the bird being, the front part of the bird being white.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of challenge, but yes, the bird gave us so much time that we
Mm.
ended up getting decent shots.
That's
Now,
beautiful.
yeah. So the middle one here we see is from Bharatpur. Everyone knows these points. It's the one when you enter and the first, we call this the Haina point.
Okay.
We went there and I was with a couple of friends and I saw this. Okay, there's a kid there, and okay, the mom is walking in other
Mhm.
corners. And suddenly I said, okay, let's wait. Let's just stay quiet, not move. We walked and I saw this. Okay, it's a mirror image in the background. We
Yeah.
can weave a story around it, and I just clicked it at the right moment and got
Yeah.
this shot. So for me, this shot is again very special.
Yes.
And then coming to the third one, it's my most favorite bird in the world. It's the uh, black-throated bush tit. They're cute little buggers. I love them, and they always travel in teams. They
Mm-hmm.
they exhibit teamwork a lot. So luckily, I got this a very special moment when all of them. Now this I couldn't have planned, but yeah,
Yeah.
this moment I would agree. I took 20 seconds and I just kept the button focus pressed, and I just didn't wait. I said okay, they will give some special moment. You can't do much here because there are five subjects. You can't do a lot. Just have
Yeah.
your exposure correct, your shutter speed correct, so that you can freeze the action. The aperture needs to be shallow. And since I was lucky also that they were all in the same frame,
That's
the
good.
same plane.
Same depth of
Luckily, got
field.
the shot, and I would rate this as one of my best shots till date. I just love it because
Thank you.
it's
That's
again got
nice.
a story around it. Yeah, yeah. So just this is for all the people watching. Wait for the right moment. Think in your mind, study the behavior of the bird or the animal, and then
Yeah.
click. Don't rush. It always helps. I've learned it the hard way. I want everyone to understand it's very important. End of the day, it's just going to fill up your computers. You're going to be ending up because we all are very lazy at deleting photos, and we
Yes.
sometimes don't delete also. So try to click as much as is required. Don't overdo it, is what I have realized. I want everyone else also should do this, is my personal observation. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, again, there's a big subject that, okay, when do you decide that you want to click a landscape or a portrait photo? So,
Yeah.
yeah, when there's a single subject, you can focus and the background seems very friendly, then you can click a portrait shot, and
Mm-hmm.
the shallow depth of field, everything. So the right side, the two photos are an example of that. But in the left, there's this point in Sapan Mori in Bharatpur, where we just go in the left, and there's an open land for almost kilometers. And in the evenings when the sun is setting down, you really get beautiful golden light. So if I look at this photo at the bottom on the left hand side, the egret, I don't know. I never knew that it's going to be a special photo, but yeah, I just love this frame so much, and I've shared it with a few people. They just say they love it because it's got that. I when I look at this photo, I just simply, that one song from Guns N' Roses comes to my mind is knocking on heaven's door. Yeah, knocking on heaven's door is what comes to my mind, and it feels like that bird is entering heaven. So yeah, this is a special moment. Of course, this owlet again gave a very beautiful shot. Now I want everyone to look at this photo and see that it's not a very clear frame, but it's got that mystery about it. There's a little bit of grass coming from the left hand side covering the bird a bit. There's a little bit of leaves, because since it was a shallow depth of field, it gave a very hearty kind of a picture. And this is what I want people to understand: when you got a bird sitting in a certain small area and it's got habitat around it, try to take the habitat, because it beautifies the photo completely. So this is about the landscape versus portrait. When you see that the background is helpful, it's clearer, it's beautiful, or it's got some elements with different planes to the photo, try and use that. Otherwise, if it's the bird is sitting out in the open, just go for a portrait shot. It's going to work wonders. Now, especially about this photo, I would say this is from Bhigwan, Maharashtra. I went with my friend Anupam there, and uh, I just realized that we were looking for the Indian grey wolf, and we just couldn't find it. And suddenly a moment came when we said, okay, it's too far, just go for it and click it. I said, okay, stop the car right here, because I see these trees in front, and they've got yellow flowers on it. And we've got a tree coming on the from the right hand side, another tree at the background, and it was a hilly kind of a terrain. So when there are multiple planes in the photo, it really beautifies your image, because the greens and the yellows are what add life to your photos. So right contrast, right color combination, I'm sure the photo can do wonders. This one, I'll be very honest, if I zoom in on the wolf, it will not be too much in focus. It was too far, and I just
Okay.
didn't have the time to change my settings. Yeah, you said something.
No, no, I said the flowers definitely do add value in this
Yeah, yeah,
particular
yeah.
way.
Yeah, and honestly, I've started realizing this in the last 3 4 months. So it's a constant evolving moment for me also. I'm talking about here my journey. I'm trying to give tips, but I'm sure there are 10,000 people sitting out there who might have better tips than me. But this is my journey, so I'm going to talk about it. These flowers add so much of vibrance to your photos, so much. It's not even funny. And with raw photos, when you edit them, it takes your photograph to another level.
That's true. We have a question so that's from Ellie. How do you
Right.
judge the right increment of exposure compensation to be used?
See, in terms of exposure compensation, I would say first of all we need to understand what kind of subject it is. If it changes a lot, if it's a bird we don't want to miss, if it's a bird sitting in a certain perch but it's got a white background, then you need to increase the exposure compensation, because if you don't increase it to a certain level, and you have to experiment, because after clicking 10 photos you'll also understand that how exposure compensation works. I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. I went to Satala, I clicked a brownwood owl, and that was the bird was sitting in the tree, but it had got pockets of light coming from behind. Now that was very distracting, but I didn't have a choice, so I took my exposure compensation in the plus side to up to 3. It added noise to the photo, but I got a with noise reduction and everything, I could have gotten a better photo. But if you increase the exposure compensation, the frame brightens up. So it's an experimentation. If you're clicking a white subject, a negative exposure compensation helps. You have to experiment. I'll
Yeah.
not say that, okay, it's a fixed value, that, okay, if the light is this intense, you need to go this. But generally, from if it's a white subject, -1 to minus zero point 0.7 to -2 is what works. And if it's
Okay.
a very dark subject, a bird is in very lot of shade, and the background is a little distracting, then you can increase the exposure compensation to even +2, +3. Since it's a sitting subject, try and take 3 4 extra shots with different exposure compensation, because every light moment is different.
Yeah.
So you experiment. See, if it's a flying bird or something which is very fast moving, you'll get one chance, you click it, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
But with time, with experience, you'll understand that. But if the bird is sitting, it's giving you
Yeah.
time, then click in plus zero point 0.7, plus 1, plus 1.7, and try all these components. Once you open them in your laptop on the computer, you'll get a good shot, because you've tried everything. So it's again, I would say it's a gamble, but yeah, with 10 photos, if I come across that situation again, when I know the sky background is very bright and the bird is sitting in the perch and there's a lot of shade around it, I'll know, okay, last time when I clicked this photo, this setting works, so I'll use that setting again. So I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it a lot when it comes to exposure or any kind of things, the more experience you have, and we all look in a different way. I
Yeah,
may not be seeing things in the way you see it, or
yeah,
an X, Y, or Z will have different opinion. But I think anything to do with the light and depth of field is again work together. So it all differ from person to person, but experience play a major role.
yeah.
We have
But
one
I'm
more
less
question
experienced.
from.
I'm sure Nisha can answer that question better because she's far more experienced than what I am. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, here we are sharing your journey, so definitely it's
yeah,
your perspective.
yeah.
Then Anupam, I have a question. What are your thoughts on monochrome?
Monochrome. Yeah, Anupam. I hope this is Anupam Thombre, my friend.
Yes.
I love monochromes, and I see that there's a lot of good storytelling and beautiful, things that can be done when it comes to monochrome. But I personally feel that monochrome comes into the picture when your subject is maybe of a single color. Maybe it's like complete white, complete black, or complete brown in habitat, or anything for that matter. And uh, clicking it the them through clicking monochromes through that really adds a lot of value to the picture, because we all click same birds a lot of times. I go to
Yeah.
Bharatpur every year, I'll click egrets every time. But if I
Mm-hmm.
keep on taking the same flying shots, the same golden eye shots, it'll get boring after a point of time. So, in order to experiment, monochromes are something that big artists can do because they see it very differently. Unfortunately, I don't think I've reached that moment yet where I can say that I'm an expert at monochrome. I'm not even a novice at monochrome. But yes, I want to try it and I will try it. But I personally feel that with subjects who are specifically in one color, for them monochrome works a lot. You and I won't be posting a pitta photo, a gold, uh,
Yeah.
Indian pitta photo in monochrome, because the beauty of that bird lies in the colors. uh, if we talk about probably a Indian paradise flycatcher, probably yes, because the head is dark blue and the body is white, and then it can probably work, but depends on the background as well. So yeah, tough question, but I hope I've been able to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's again a personal choice. How do you see things, and how do you try it with it? I mean, there are people who do their work only in monochrome.
yeah, yeah.
There are
I've
people
seen a
who
couple
are not
of
keen
girls.
at all.
Yeah, yeah, crazy level. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there aren't any more questions, I'll move on.
No, we'll continue with the
Yeah,
journey.
sure. So of course we've done with the composition thing here. Of course, the placing the subject in the right place is very important. Now this is another moment, and which I loved. This was a moment when we were going towards another place, Baramati, near Bhegwan, and I was with my friend Anupam, of course, and another very good friend of ours, Amol, and I said, okay, stop, stop. There are a owl pair sitting there. So we sat there and we saw that they just came to that bark of a tree and went back. They were doing this repeatedly. And then some crows came into the picture.
Yeah.
So every time the crow came and flew above them, they would either look up or make noise or make calls that, okay, you're disturbing us, don't. So we tried to capture as many shots as possible, because there are shots, I've not put it here, but there's a point where both the owls with their left eye visible are looking up at the crows. So these kind of moments, we can make a carousel post out of it, or you know do a lot of experimentation, not just one pick. And again, I would say interaction between subjects always adds a lot to the photo.
Yeah.
It takes the photo to another level, and it makes the person think that, okay, what must be happening here. If I hadn't told that story here, I'm sure people who are watching this slide must have thought in their mind that why is it looking there and why is it looking at you and screaming, why, what are they doing? So if we've made people think about what the bird is doing in the photo, we half the battle is won. It's very
Yeah.
important to have one single subject, second subject comes, the photo becomes bigger, and when
Yeah.
three, four, five subjects come in the picture, it goes to another level. So these kind of things a person clicking the photos had to keep in mind. Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, so these are one of my favorite lines, because you always have to keep on innovating in order to inspire people.
Yeah.
So, like if I talk about the velvet fronted nuthatch, this
Yeah.
is a signature way of that
Yeah.
bird. It perches down. It's one moment, I've got a photo of this bird sitting upright, sitting properly in a side angle. But this was a special moment when it was, we've all seen Stranger Things. When I posted it photo, I said that welcome to the world of upside down. It actually, makes you think, okay,
Yeah.
okay, there's some story to it. Then talking about this Leothrix, the lipstick bird, reflection in water adds a lot of fun spunk to the photo. These again, these egrets, they were fighting over a fish, and the other one was trying to take it away, and this one ran behind it. So we have, I constantly keep on thinking now, if I ask anyone sitting there, that the photo that we see here is of the greylag geese. If I click one of them separately, each one of them separately, they're not even parallel to the camera, they're diagonally looking somewhere else. It won't have made a good frame. But since there were three of them, and they are not even looking at the camera, but it makes a very interesting because they're looking in the same direction. One is sitting in a different position, one is looking in the different position, and one has got its wings open. So these kind of things will come with experience, and this is what makes this photo special. Is that there were everything that was wrong with this photo. There was nothing right. It was not that the bird was looking at us, it was not interacting with us, it was just looking in a different direction. But since there were three subjects added in the picture, it it made the photo what it is. It made the photo special. Now coming for the now this one uh, again is a very special photo for me. The one with the checkered keelback is the fish. Anyone who studies herpetology would know that whenever a snake eats a fish, they take the head part in first, so that the fish cannot escape. So I
Okay.
was in Chandlai near Jaipur, and I went with a very dear friend, Mr. I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, but he's a very senior photographer and a very good field guide. I went with him, and we were clicking photos of the egrets and other birds trying to catch fish early in the morning. And suddenly we see that, okay, there's a snake in the water. It comes up, and these are big leaves in the water, lotus kind of leaves, which are huge. The snake came up and was catching this fish. And I said, okay, let's click a few photos. And eventually, when this fish escaped, it didn't die. It was not eaten by the snake because the snake had not taken it properly in the mouth, and the eye was outside. So this is what storytelling is all about again.
Oh,
Now just
that's a
looking,
new information.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. This is what I've been told, and I studied about it, and I realized, yeah, most of the people also. I posted this on Instagram. It got featured on Nat Geo also. Maybe lucky moment for me, but yeah, people said that, okay, the snake was trying to save the fish. And yeah, it is another perspective that the snake was trying to save the fish and put it back in the water. So a lot of things, yeah, anything can be built around your stories. Uh,
Yeah.
Again, these greylag geese moment when they were twining and flying together. Then this very famous Oriental dwarf kingfisher. This is from Panvel. Very special moment. I especially only flew from Delhi to Mumbai to capture this particular photo because I love kingfishers, and this is a very beautiful kingfisher, but I still love the common kingfisher more. I don't know why, but I do love it. Yeah. So we have
We
to
have a
study their
question.
behavior. Yeah.
That's from Camera Moments. Hello, Sushmeet. Is there any unique style of composing images which you have acquired and developed as a habitat in your journey so far?
I didn't get the question. Can you just repeat it
Hello,
once again?
Sushmeet. Is there any unique style of composing images which you have acquired or developed as a habit? I think he put it as habitat, but I
Mhm.
think he's talking about
Habit.
habit
Yeah, yeah.
in your journey so far.
I wouldn't say that because, you know, unlike a lot of other things where we have a lot of control, with birds specifically, I don't think we have the freedom to, compose the same kind of photo. Yeah, I can go to the same point in Bharatpur and wait for the sunset to happen and try to click the same image. I tried it last weekend. The same picture did not come. I cannot. We none of us can. Yes, we can try certain things, but those are cliched steps. Those are, everyone is doing. What you have to do as a photographer is uh, to differentiate and make something that is unique to you. So yeah, always we can try for habitat shots. We can try capturing a bird with a lot of shade around it, try to frame it in such a way, show the habitat, but we
No,
have
I
to
think the
think through.
question is about composition, not about habitat. Do you have any composition technique unique composition techniques which you have developed?
See, no, I would say a unique. I don't have any unique steps for that. Yeah, I use the rule of thirds that we have. We have the spiral ways of there's a spiral formation. If you go into Photoshop and Lightroom, there are various methods where you can when you crop the photo, you can keep the subject in a certain corner because it's been photographically, scientifically proven that there are certain points of the photo where the focus goes first. So
Hmm.
those kind of steps, there's no unique one, but yeah, mainly people follow the rule of thirds, and you have to give the bird or the subject the space, positive space on the side that it's looking, and then
Yeah,
you get a good frame. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's all.
yeah, okay. I hope I've been able to answer. This is a tricky one. Yeah. So these are the photos that which I have given it time and clicked, and which I feel that I kind of did justice to. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about two more important things. One is how to click the perfect portraits. It's my observation.
Yeah,
Because first of all, we've got to ensure that the subject is at the right distance. We can't expect the subject to be 500 meters away from us and then try to click a portrait. It will not, because the portrait's most important component is the composition and the details. I feel that. Keep your aperture wide open. A lot of people say that, okay, keep it 6.3, 7.18. I understand that. But if you've got to, my observation again, if you've got to click the best, you have to zoom in completely, because if you keep the lens like I use a 200 500, if I'm trying to click a portrait, I would not click it at 200, because 200 gives does not give the does not make the background soft. Does it makes it may bring the bird in good focus, but it will not do justice in terms of softening the backgrounds. All these photos, now the one that we talk about here, Zitting Sisticola, that we see here, it was very close to me, and I clicked it at 500 and 5.6, and look at the background, it's completely soft. Some people might even say it's photoshopped, but it's not. So sometimes we get lucky with these kind of moments, and for that it's very important. You have to, and all these, I would say, the Zitting Sisticola, it was the Saras crane, these were clicked handheld. So I had to ensure that my shutter speed was high, because even when the bird breathes, a shake can come. Even when you breathe, the shake can come. So it's very important for you to click with at a higher shutter speed. And if you're sitting in a car, use the beanbag. If you're at a place where you can keep this tripod properly, I know a lot of people say that it restricts me, but you gotta get used to holding. If you want top quality images, you've got to use a tripod or a beanbag. It's very important, and it
yeah,
will really take your photos to the next level. Now, if you last question that we had from camera moments was that, okay, composition, everyone follows it in the world. Rule of thirds is very nice, but there are other methods also. You should study about it. I've studied about them. I've incorporated 2 3 of them, and they've helped me take the photo to the next level. Like the wolf one I showed, I didn't use the rule of thirds in that. It was looking up dead front, so I had to keep the subject in the center. It makes the photo speak nicely. And most important in bird photography is, if you don't have catch light in portraits, dump it, delete it, just leave it, because the bird will not look alive. You have to have catch light. If you look at all these photos, there is catch light in the bird's eye. That's very important, because that is what brings the photo to life. Now, Again, I kind of consider myself as a intermediate good action photographer, like I said. So a very important thing in action shots is that you don't have to get scared in increasing the ISO. Click at 2000 ISO, click at 2500, 3200, doesn't matter. Know your camera strengths and use the maximum. If the light is low, you can't click without increasing the ISO. And if you
Yeah.
don't increase the ISO in manual, you'll not be able to experiment with the shutter speed as well. If you have to capture action, you have to make ISO and shutter speed your friends. Do not
Yeah.
click in aperture priority mode is my observation, because if the light is too good, then maybe it will work for you. But you want a method that works for you all the time. So the sooner you get on manual, yes, you will have a lot of failures. I had a lot of failures, but you have to try and understand how manual mode works. It's very important. Learn the art of panning. The heavier the lens, it doesn't matter. But if you pan, then you get good shots. The one that I talked, the two birds flying in the bottom, the cotton pygmy goose. Here, I've all clicked them handheld with panning method. I've got 20 shots, all of them in focus. So if you learn the art of panning, you'll always do well. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to experiment, if you know there's show shot action going to happen, use your gimbal head, use the tripod, and you'll succeed.
Yeah.
Perspective matters. A lot of people say that, okay, a lot of people make checklists. I also used to make a checklist that, okay, I've clicked this bird. If someone says now that, okay, you want to click this, no, I've clicked it last time. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that, because how when birds will surprise you. These three photos here are of the same bird, but they are completely different elements, completely different ways of clicking. Even now, you and I can talk. If I ask you, Nisha, you can also say that, okay, there are 20 more shots possible with the common kingfisher. There are, you can get a fishing shot, you can get a flying shot, you can get a shot where it's uh, you know just dipped itself into water and it's trying to rotate and trying to dry itself. There'll be splashes of water around it. So there are many ways that you can click a photo. So for advice for each and every bird photographer is, never think that you're finished with the bird. It'll surprise you in the best ways possible. So perspective matters. Think of how differently you can click it. In fact, if I talk about the first and the third photo here, it's the same common kingfisher clicked 10 minutes apart. So that is the difference. Look at the depth of field on the first one and the third one. The third one
Yeah.
shows a little bit of the background, and it shows that, okay, it kind of looks sad there, that, okay, I didn't get a fish, I'm sad. But the one on the leftmost one, the first one, shows that, okay, I'm on the lookout for a fish. So these kind of things, if once you start associating these kind of things, you think what the bird is thinking, and probably you'll get a good shot.
Yeah.
Again, coming to this verdita flycatcher, if everyone must be observing, why is it got different colors in all these photos? It's because of the lighting conditions
Yeah.
and the way you edit also, probably, to an extent. No one can say that, okay, this is the right color, and Sushmeet, you probably overdid it. You shouldn't have done this. You probably played with the colors of the bird. In fact, in these kind of birds, I can't play with the colors of the bird. All I can do is open the shadows
Yeah.
and different perspectives. The one on the extreme left looks sea green, the one in the center looks cyan, and the one in the right looks blue,
Blue.
completely different color.
Yeah.
So all are simple, looking in the same direction, and they don't look like the same bird. So ignite the creative center of your mind, you'll get awesome shots. Then, of course, golden hour, my favorite time of the day. And of course, another advice for all the bird photographers out there is, do not click when the sun is up high. It's too challenging. It does not give you good photos. The shadows are really bad. You will click, the beak is here, it'll be coming on the body. Doesn't look good. So try clicking in the second half of the day after 3:30, depending on the kind of lighting. Like, I'm sure in Nisha, where you are, the sun may be rising and setting at different times. But I'm
Yeah.
talking about particularly about India and North Delhi, north of India specifically. Early morning, 6 o'clock, the sun is starting to rise, and by 7:38, 8:30, after that, doesn't help. So think and then play with the white balance. Like I can simply say one special hack for all the people trying to click golden hour shots is that play with the play with the white balance of your camera. Take it to shadow or shade, and then play with the exposure compensation in the negative side. You will get different colors. You'll get the feeling that it's golden hour, special golden hour. So these kind of things you have to think and experiment with your camera, and really makes a lot of impact. All these are different thoughts that came to my mind when I click these photos. Again, silhouettes. The best time to click silhouettes is, uh, you know, late evening or early morning, and this golden color is always attractive. Rim photos you can click, like the one that on extreme right. I'd rather, I would say that this was an opportunity that was presented to us. We were just going down via the car and said, "Stop! Look at those monkeys! Look at those langurs! Look at how beautiful they are looking." We got down, kept the ISO at 100, and clicked these photos like crazy. And the more you travel, the more nature will present opportunities like this. So golden hour is one of the special times for every one of us. I'm sure you've clicked crazy shots. I've seen your photos. You're another level. So yeah, brilliant opportunities the golden hour presents to us. Now editing, the most important thing where we get a lot of questions is like I said initially, that the camera cannot compete with your eyes. Remember it, and then through these softwares, try to match your the vision that your eyes saw. Very easy for everyone. You don't need to invest in big softwares. You just get a basic Photoshop package, which is for 800 bucks. It gives you Camera Raw, it gives you Photoshop, it gives you Lightroom. I use Camera Raw, but Lightroom is fantastic. It allows cataloging and everything. It's really helpful. Everyone's personal choice. Again, understand the relationship between highlights and shadows. This will require a little bit of study. And it's not tough. I've been taught this by my friend, and I was able to, incorporate it well. It increased my understanding towards how I need to click. And there's no fixed rule. Like everyone does not have to, take the shadows highlights to full and the shadows completely open. Sometimes it's okay to keep it in between, which gives a very beautiful effect to the photo. Then understanding the relationship between colors, primary colors, the RGB, the CMYK, all these things need to be understood, and it's not going to take a lot. It takes a day for you to, if you give it proper time, like the ones like we give in our offices. If we give this time, we understand this, it improves our photography editing skills to another level. It takes it to another level. Now talking about noise reduction, everyone, no one likes noisy photos. Sometimes it works because it's you're trying to creatively project something, but there are ways of removing noise even without a software like denoise. It's very easy. We can do it. We just need to look for it. Like YouTube has been our best friend. I have learned majority of my photography. I just entered in the search bar how to remove noise without using denoise, and I got a method. Though I was able to invest in denoise, it makes my job easier. But it's okay. You can learn steps, and it doesn't take. The only difference is instead of 2 minutes, it'll take 5 minutes. But yes, you need to try each and everything, and it can make a lot of impact. Editing, again, a lot of people say that okay, make sare steps, tell me all the steps. How first what to do, what next to do, what third to do what. Trust me, the best of my photos that I've been able to put out there sometimes have not been even been edited. I've not even removed noise, or not even tried to sharpen it. I don't sharpen any of my photos, to be honest. I just, I'm very selective about what I share with people, what I post on social media. I just don't sharpen my images. I don't. I just use the basic things and a few steps here and there to, because I personally feel that bring is closest to natural. The bird should look natural, like when you saw it. So the better it is, you have to achieve photography skills to that effect that okay, Editing should not make it better. Your clicking should be doing 90% of the job. 10% should be the editing skills. And it depends. If you want to print it and other things, then it's another game altogether. Exporting the picture correctly for various social media platforms is very important. We need to understand that. Don't oversaturate, don't oversharpen. And I've said it before, don't engage in unethical editing habits, because then you'll not enjoy it. Just to get a few hoo-has, hi, your photo is awesome. People know everything, people understand everything. If I show you a photo right now, if I've posted a photo, any one of these photos where I've done a bit extra which I shouldn't have done, Nisha would have known by now. Trust me. People are experienced out there, everyone gets to know what you're doing. In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. So I'm trying to tell you that don't try to follow some people, take guidance from them, but eventually try to create your own style. I'm sure everyone wants to be different and unique. So these are few of my shots. I can tell you that this the bird flying had a twig in its mouth. The egret was pushed away by the heron. uh, I went with my very close friends to Bharatpur, and my battery of my D850 went out, and they were clicking silhouettes of the bird with the sun behind it. I missed it, but I changed the battery. I went ahead and got this shot of the deer who was being chased by feral dogs, unfortunately. But
Oh,
this moment was special when the water was plinking all over. They didn't get that shot, I got it. So don't be sad. Nature will present opportunities to you, and you will make a difference. Just give it time, be patient.
yeah.
So the one that we see here is the blue cheeked bee eater in the center. It's got a bug in its mouth. It's a flying shot, and I clicked 300 shots to get this one, because I had decided I will not go home till the time I don't click it. It might not again be the best shot, but I love this shot because I achieved something because I gave it time. So every one of us needs to find a space, and if you decide to do something, you can achieve it. And some moments you get lucky, like the gray lag geese. I was just lying down on the ground and trying to click them, and suddenly they both flew, and I just went panning at an angle of 80 90 degrees, and at a moment came when I was back on my back and clicking towards the sky. But yes, I got these shots and they were special. The one that we see here on the leftmost bottom is the tawny eagle.
Yeah.
Before that, there was a tawny eagle male sitting there, giving a very beautiful portrait shot. This tawny female, which is bigger in size, came up from top, and we got shots of it coming down slowly and steadily. And then, as soon as it landed, the male flew. So these
Oh,
moments only come to us if we give it time,
yes.
and we visualize that, okay, now what's going to happen. Be ready to click, and just sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, but more often if you give it more time, you'll get lucky and you'll get such shots. For
Yes.
these are some special shots that I got. Again, these shots again, I would say the first one is from Tal Chappar, and I
Okay.
had the subject is not looking at me, but I kept clicking because I saw a few drongos just hovering around the Neel guy, and I got this moment, and when I showed it to a few people, I said, "Okay, is it good?" They said, "Oh, it's a fantastic shot." I said, "Why can't I see it?" They said that, okay, sometimes you won't see it, but sometimes you gotta listen to people's feedback and just go ahead and experiment. So I posted it on Instagram, and it got a lot of appreciation. It's a beautiful frame, is what people say. So okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then the flower in the more important thing about any of these photographs is that you have to have more subjects, more interactive elements in the photo. Like the one on the right hand side, it's a yellow-eyed blabbler just below a leaf of a tree.
Yeah.
Everyone gets yellow-eyed babbler shots, but this one was special, and it suddenly came, and I was like, okay, oh god, it's a beautiful shot. I clicked, and it's a beautiful shot. So it's again, we have to try and look for different elements. Storytelling is what we need to aim for, but even if we are able to add another element to the photo, it really goes to another level.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now again, does gear matter? This is a question that everyone asks, but I think it matters. It matters. to a huge extent. But I'm not saying it in the sense that okay, you spend 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs and then it matters. I would say that if I knew better, I would have, if I wanted to do only bird photography, I should have rather invested in a, a D500 instead of a D850. But no, I think the portrait shots that a D850 gives is another level. But yeah, the 10 FPS that a D500 gives is another level. So there's something or the other. You need to find the right balance, which I think the gear helps you. So I'm not trying to show here that okay, you need to buy a costlier camera, go for a Z9 or go for a 600 f4. It depends. It depends on your buying capability. But you and I will both agree that we've seen people create miracles with the basic entry level cameras also. It's just about putting in that kind of effort. So yeah,
Yeah.
camera's focus tracking ability matters a lot. You need to know that how good is your camera at tracking. The prime lens versus zoom lens is again a big story. The zoom lens allows you. I remember in Satal, I was sitting in the Satal studio area. There was a guy sitting beside me who had a prime lens, 800 mm. The bird just came and sat in front of us, just 5 feet away. He wasn't able to click it. The one that you see here, the Himalayan bulbul, uh, the black bulbul. Sorry, here. Uh, he wasn't able to click this bird. I was able to click it and it got all the details. So it's a mystery, to be honest. It depends. What you can click good photos with zoom also and with primes also, but with zoom you don't have to move around a lot. With prime you have to move around a lot, but then the quality of image prime on a prime lens is going to be slightly better, or maybe a lot better in certain situations than the zoom lens. So it's a never ending discussion, but you should know what you want to achieve, what you want to aim for, and then go for it.
And
Now
again,
mirrorless.
these days, brands are coming up with zoom lenses with prime quality, like what we
Yeah,
discussed in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you told me like the 180 to 400 mm
180
in
to
the Nikon.
400, 200, 400. So there are a bunch of lenses which most of these major brands have come up. So that's another option. It all depends on what is your affordability.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so very well answered by you. It actually settles the discussion for the prime lens and the zoom lenses. So now talking about mirrorless and DSLR, I agree mirrorlesses have a lot of benefits, lot of it. But DSLRs, don't count them out yet. They are still going to be there for a long time, and don't think that it's out. It's not. DSLRs still create magic. Nikon has been creating magic with DSLRs for a long time, and they'll keep on doing it. If it was going to end, they would have stopped it. They have not. Still selling those bodies, and they're doing pretty well. Now coming to budget in terms of buying a camera, if for people who want to invest in bird photography, I think the Nikon D500 and the 200 500 f5.6 is a killer camera. It's not too steep on the pocket. It gives you good resolutions. Also, if you are into prints, the D850 of course is a good option. Mirrorless, yes, eye tracking is there. When the bird changes the plane, you're able to focus better. The Z9 has been turning heads since it's come. So depending on your buying power, you can invest in that. And if you're into animal and mammal photography, I would like to add here the one that Nisha ma'am said just now, 180 to 400. Add that to this list, and you can use these kind of lenses and create magic. So this is where it is. If there are any questions with related relation to gear, I'm sure we can answer those. Uh, Now coming to the last part of the presentation, I think I've taken a lot of time. It's
Oh,
been
very good.
yeah, a photo in focus. Trust me, guys, just believe this. A photo in focus is half the battle won. You need to ensure that your photo is in focus. And for that, there are a few steps that you need to do. Just understand your camera, and you'll succeed every time. Understanding the exposure triangle, use exposure compensation is important. Using a tripod, a beanbag, these are your best friends. Don't take them lightly. I see a lot of people who are lazy and not using these. Please, guys, use this. This will really take your photography to another level. It really helps. Get down to the eye level. Don't be lazy like I was initially. And the subject will interact with you. It will look at you, and different stories can be created from that particular moment. Move around, look for smoother backgrounds. Landscape versus portrait, a big debate, but you need to decide. Trust me, you can do. You if you once you start clicking with 3 4 months of experience for the newcomers, you'll start understanding. Okay, this one needs to be a portrait. This one needs to be a landscape. No need to zoom in all the time. Use the habitat. We want shallow depth of field when we are taking portraits, but when we are trying to get the habitat in the perspective, it really doesn't matter. You can zoom out a bit and click golden hour shots. You can message me separately if you want to understand. I'll help you with that. Experiment with your eh, uh, and find your success mantra. To be specific, what works for you? Like, I feel that flying shots and action shots are my strength because I'm always on the lookout. So find your strength and follow it. Differentiate from everyone else. Know your limitations of the camera, like the ISO. Okay, like I know the D850 cannot do a couple of things, but that's fine. It can do 10 things which other cameras also cannot do. So you need to understand what the strengths of your camera are. Try flying shots, reflection shots, unique shots. Think in your mind, try to create something different. Be willing to experiment. Reels and videos are another thing which really make a lot of difference. So get into the habit of making videos. Once you start making videos, it's again storytelling to another level. And don't lose heart if you don't get a good shot. uh, you'll always get your shot sometime or the other. It's never too late. uh, Now, of course, I kind of consider myself a decent person when it comes to Instagram, because it's become the most happening method for people to express their bird photography and mammal photography. Uh, I started with it, and recently I've gone on to other mediums. But just a few pointers for everyone. If you guys want to understand how, I'm going to tell you how Instagram works for me. Post daily, keep a fixed time of posting. Understand, insights, there are insights in your profile. You'll understand what are the most active times. Post around that time, you'll get good response. Reach is important. Don't run after numbers. Be jack of all trades, be a master of one. Let your profile be unique. It has to have a theme. It's not like you post a bird photo and then suddenly you post a photo of two friends hanging out. Try to maintain a theme, follow that particular sense. Okay, you can post a photo of yourself with the camera. It's fine because it's related to what you're doing. Understand your audience, check Instagram insights like I mentioned earlier. Post stories regularly. Announce your new post. People look forward to. Some people might even be following you, and they enable those tabs that, okay, when this person posts something, I should get notified. So those kind of things happen. Share posts with fellow photographers. Make them feel valued. Experiment with reels. Interact with your followers. Comment on their photos also, because every one of us feels very nice when we click a nice photo and people say, wow man, you've clicked a fantastic photo. It's not that you're looking for acceptance, but you're just looking for acknowledgement for your hard work that you've put in. To a lot of people it matters, it doesn't matter. To me it matters, because if I post a photo and a friend of mine who I believe is a fantastic photographer, probably maybe better than me, if tomorrow Nisha ma'am comments on my photo, I would be like, wow, she commented on my photo. If Mohan Thomas sir comments on my photo, I feel like, okay, he really likes it. That means I'm going in the right direction because I'm fairly new. So these kind of things help. Interact with followers, comment on their photos. Everyone looks for that. Response to your comments regularly. It is very important. So, because leave the algorithm aside on Instagram. If someone has taken the effort of commenting on your photo, you have got to respond to them, and don't just blindly thank. Because I've seen people, okay, what settings did you use here? And you say thank you. Don't do that. It doesn't really help. That person will never comment on your photo ever again. The 4:5 vertical ratio works really well. 1:1 also works. 4:5 horizontal also works. But don't go by 9:16, because it makes your photo very small in the mobile screen. Don't post that. It can be posted, but yeah, I don't generally do that. It's my personal observation. If you are serious about photography, make a logo. Let yourself, give yourself the opportunity to become a brand. You may not be earning from it, you maybe doing it just for passion purpose, but you have to be unique, you have to stand out. There should be a signature on your photo which is unique to you. So use hashtags, but do not repeat them. I've created 6 sets of hashtags. I use them on different days. So it works for me and my reach is fine. It comes out to be nice. Tag communities. Love your page and treat it like a baby. This is the bottom line that I'd like to say. Everyone should do this, and you will succeed. And again, do what you love and love what you do. These are again lines that I live by, and that's about it. And now I'm sorry I've taken a lot of your time. So if
No,
there are any questions at all, I know we had a small window, and I took a lot of time. I have not uh,
no, no worries, no worries. It was really interesting, and we do have some questions and comments. So if I'm
yeah.
starting with the questions,
Yeah, we
I
can
mean,
we can just stop the presentation now. It's over. So yeah,
yeah.
go ahead with the
Yeah,
questions.
I've just closed the presentation, so you're
Yeah,
back to the screen.
yeah.
So Manaska, I have a comment. I love the take on gear. Does gear matter? I have heard many sort of like try playing smart, saying it doesn't matter. What is true is true. A lovely session. So that was a compliment. Of course,
Okay.
gear
Thank you.
does matter. Gear does
Yeah,
matter,
it does matter. It
but
matters.
you don't have to think about jumping into the high end to begin with. It depends on whatever you have, you will be able to make an image. If you're using um, startup camera, and if you're comparing it with the high end camera, the difference is going to be the time you are going to invest on it, and its performance when it comes to fps, frame per second, the performance when it comes to low light performance. So all these things are going to be different when you are going to use a higher end camera. But then that doesn't mean that if you are going to use a startup camera or a mid-level camera, you cannot make a good image. That's a wrong concept. You can, but the effort is going to be double or triple, and there will be slightly quality difference depending on the light and the action and things like that. So that
Yeah.
will be a general take, and that's what even Sushmeet was talking about.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And then we have Rishabh. We have a question. How
Okay.
important do you think the camera body is? And is it okay to get an entry level mirrorless camera and a good lens workable? What's your
Yeah.
take on this?
You've answered this question already, but I think entry level cameras are helpful. Of course, you got to check out the megapixel count, because honestly, if you want to click portraits, if you want to click something, uh,
Yeah,
you can use mirrorless cameras. Entry level mirrorless cameras would work. Depends on the lens also a lot of times, and you've got to check their combination, because a lot of times I researched on Google and YouTube that, okay, does this lens work well with this camera.
yeah,
So, like, I know for that matter that, okay, a D850 along with the 200 500 is a very good combination. The
yeah,
focus may be slightly slower compared to a prime lens,
yeah,
but then you're able to get it. So you need to research a lot. An entry level camera can help you improve your skills, take it to the next level, and then probably you can buy a better camera and take your photography to the next level.
yeah,
Like, I am also, I haven't mentioned that before the D850 I had another two cameras, but since I was not doing bird photography as such, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, I've met so many people, so many experienced people who started off with the D30 7500. Now they are on the Z6 too, and they probably may buy the Z9 also. But
yeah,
they've experimented with these cameras and they've created marvels with these cameras. I know a couple of people who make the camera work. Not the camera does not make them work, but they also make the camera work. So it really depends. What I meant by the gear that gear matters is that the gear should work for you. There's no universal rule for a gear. Yeah, there are certain cameras which are super hit, they're doing well, you can invest in those. They even come for under a lakh, you can try, no issues. The lenses, of course, I can say for starters and the early bird photographers, if you're a Nikon fan, 200 500 solves everything for you.
yeah.
No worries at all. Yeah.
Definitely. And again, the question, if you're going back again, mirrorless with a good lens, definitely it is workable, because most of the mirrorless which is coming up, got a good spec. So most of it all got a pretty good, decent spec when it comes to cameras. And lenses, yeah, I think most of, except Sony, most of the cameras definitely will require an adapter to work with the lenses. So that's going to be an additional investment you have to do. But then that is what it is, at least for some more years, till the cameras are, it, see, like from analog to digital, there was a transition period. Right now, this is going to be the next transition period. Things are going to change. I'm not saying that this is the end of DSLR. DSLR is going to be there for a while, but future is going to be definitely mirrorless.
And
That's
let me
something
answer this.
we have to accept.
Yeah, and I'm answering this question again for you, for all the people who are watching, that don't think that should I buy like I had this doubt, and Nisha also answered this for me. Another friend of mine who's using a Nikon prime lens. I was worried that okay, would it work if I invest in a Z9 after a year? Would my S lens work with the Z body? I think it would, and these lenses will not go out of fashion. They've worked for years and they'll keep on working for years. Maybe I am worried. I want to probably get the 500 f4 because that might be the last 500 lens. I want to keep it because it may work. Even I don't see, I don't think we can come across anyone today. Even ma'am, you would be agreeing that okay, from 10 years from now, probably still D850 with a 500 f4 would be working. They'll say, huh, it gives good photos. So yeah, I don't think
See,
we need to worry a lot about that.
the thing is, it's going to make your life easy. Imagine the 600 when I tried to use a 600 from Thomas, in the very first one, um, not the late second version or the third generation.
Not the
I
fluorite
was
one.
It was
Yeah.
a struggle for me to lift it. So the new lenses definitely is going to make your life easier, be it in line with the weight of the lens or things like that. Naturally, every equipment which we are going to use is going to come up with something new feature which will make your life slightly more easier. Definitely add a value when it comes to people like me with a small wrist. If the brand is going to come up with a lightweight thing, it definitely makes our life easy to do a handheld shot for a little more longer. So these kind of things definitely do matters. But that's not going to stop anyone from using an the older version if they feel comfortable with it. It's life will, it depends on how much time we have and how much sacrifice we are ready to do. So that's what is going to
Right.
be the answer for that question. And the next one, in
Okay.
some scenario, it's nearly impossible to get a good shot of a bird since they are too far. Would you use a teleconverter to get an extra reach? This is from Chintan Goel.
Okay. I think you can answer this better, but first I'll give my perspective. I'll be a small answer because I've never used a teleconverter, but I know that teleconverters work best with prime lenses because and professional bodies because they've got the strength to use that. I haven't come across anyone using a teleconverted with a 200 500 because I think it does not work very well with that because I've not used it. Ma'am, you can answer this question better. But you need to understand that like if you're using a f4 lens and you use a 1.4 teleconverter, it might take it to 5 6, then it's fine. But you have to know what lens you're using, what body it is you have, and then probably click it. It is possible. Like I've come across someone who uses 2x teleconverter and they had a 400 lens and they got a very beautiful shot of the pelicans in water, and they were able to create a magical shot from that. But then they had a prime lens,
Yeah.
400 f2.8, which goes to maximum 5.6, so it's fine. So just see that if it works for you, then let it work. Otherwise, with these cameras like D850 gives me a lot of benefit. I can use it in crop sensor mode also. So my 500 goes up to I think 700 or something like that, and I can reach get that range. But yeah, you need to realize that okay, Is it okay? Should I click or should I let it go? Because sometimes we get like I'm trying to be an expert here and talking about bird photography. I've not clicked a pelican till date. So it's a very sad thing for me. But this year I will, and I go to Bharatpur next. So you need to pick your battles. You need to check that, okay, can I get it? But yeah, the answer is, if you have a teleconverter, if it is a prime lens, I think it will not sacrifice the quality of the photo that extent. It does to a very little limit. Now rest, of course, Nisha ma'am can answer. Yeah.
No, I mean, when I was using Canon, I was using 1DX. I mean, especially talking about the birding days, I was using towards the end. And I'm not talking about the towards the starting. Towards the end, I was using a phone 600 along with the 1DX, and I had a 1.4x converter. Honestly, the very few occasions I have used it. No matter what we say, there is definitely a small change in the quality when we use converter. So I was somehow kind of feel very happy without using a converter. But I know there are a lot of people who use teleconverter, especially with 2.8 400 lenses. A lot of birders who use 2x converter along with it, 1.4x converter along with it. And I think I am not too sure, but I think in one of Jeffrey Wu's sessions, he mentioned he used converters even with 8400. I think yes, he mentioned that he do use converters. So it is a personal choice. Somehow I am not very comfortable in using
Being
teleconverters. It's a
comfortable and
personal
changing it
choice.
also is a task in itself. you
Yeah,
know I can't even think of changing a lens, putting a teleconverter and adjusting it, and with those heavy primes and lifting it. It's too
yeah.
much of a task
And the
for
good
me.
part is, yeah, in certain cameras, like I think Nikon and Canon do have an inbuilt converter which comes with with the lens. So that is definitely a great option. That was something which we were discussing right before the session with Sushmeet as well. If you're asking me what is the best lens I come across in Nikon line, that is going to be 180 400 as of now, along with the I don't own it, but along with the teleconverter, it is f4 from 180 to 400 it got an inbuilt converter, and that makes your life so easy. And you have a zoom lens which gives you the quality of a prime lens, that makes your life make you have a 7200 a 180 400, then a wide angle, then any trip your gear package is done. So that
Yeah,
is definitely a plus point when it comes to this. So yes, you need to see what you are sacrificing and what you are going to obtain. So that is kind of answering your question about zoom lens and a prime lens as well. So 180 400 is going to cost you as much as a prime lens, because it's going to give you the result
yeah.
like that. So of course there is an investment, that's something which you need to consider. But if you are a starter, if you are a beginner, you don't have to jump into 180 400. You can go for 100, anything which gives you a 400 range, high 100 400 80 400 200 600 200 500, whatever which you can afford, go with that. Your affordability is the only thing which counts. The rest comes with your experience. Spend couple of years, at least 1 year, spending at least 1 hour every day, at least two couple of hours on regularly on weekends, and give it 1 or 2 years, then you will see the difference from day one to after 2 years time. So experience and working and practicing is what is going to make the difference. You
Yes.
keep I know people who have big lenses, keep it in their house, and after 1 or 2 years they say they have fungus in their lens. So a lens is not going to make you a photographer. To become a photographer, you need to go out, start to shoot on a regular basis, guys. So don't worry about the equipment. Think what is your budget and just go for it.
Yeah.
We have one more question. That is from Rishabh Jain. Can you cover a bit on aspect ratio to be used, please?
Yeah, it depends on where you're using it. To be honest, like I'll give you an example. I'm more of present on uh, social media platforms. Like I use 500px, I use Instagram, and the yeah, I would say rather these two mediums is where I'm present in. A 2:3 ratio horizontal works really well with a 500px. Uh, a 4:5 vertical works well with Instagram. A 4:5 horizontal works with Instagram. Even a square works with
Perfect.
1:1 ratio works with Instagram. So see, you've got to do justice to the bird and the subject. And if you're trying to cover the like for that matter, there are a lot of websites where you can probably sell your photos as wallpapers also. So for wallpapers, when we know that it's going to be a horizontal rectangular kind of a screen, the
Yeah.
2:3 ratio or is the 4:5 ratio works perfectly. So you need to understand, like I have experience, I've been for 2 years on Instagram with the photography profile. My other profile has been for more than 10 years. But yeah, I observed this, that engagement on Instagram specifically happens more with a photo which is 4:5 vertical ratio. Because if you look at it carefully, it's a very scientific method. It's that when you scroll through your mobile phones, once you scroll in your basic the home timeline, if it's a 4:5 ratio, it covers your entire screen. So there isn't the engagement level will be more, because if it's a smaller photo, if it's a 1:1 or is a 4:5 horizontal, then once you're looking at that photo, you see another photo on the screen because the screens are big these days. So for increasing engagement, the 4:5 really works, but then it depends on the, if it's a habitat kind of a photo. I've seen some exceptional shots in even 9:16 ratio, and they've created wonders. Then there is something that Mr. Thomas Vijayan does. He posts these carousel posts wherein he splices the photo in two parts, and the third one is completely in the center with a 9:16 ratio. So those kind of things can be done. And 500px, you can go vertical, you can go horizontal, because that is an app which can be used on the laptop or even the mobile, and there's no restriction on that. So these kind of platforms, I think it depends on what kind of photo you're trying to click, and accordingly you get your aspect ratios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to give you a shout out on everybody who said hello. So we have Ellie, who's a regular, who always come here. Then again, Bipin, Anubam, your friend. And then Paul Manuran again, and one of our regular people. And Umesh Snaps. Good to be connected. I'm not sure whether it's somebody whom you know.
Yeah.
Then Satyadevan and Radhakrishnan, definitely someone who's always here to support the artists, and Manaska, Rishabh, and Chetan. So some interesting questions, some beautiful support. So would like to thank everybody, and
I'd like
thank
to
you
thank you
so
first of all, because yeah, it's my first experience like this. Besides my own Instagram page, where I don't get invited, I have to invite people. But here, thank you for giving me the opportunity, because I have known a few people who have been on your platform, and they're all appreciation for you and you specifically, and Hermes, of course. Hope he gets well soon, and I'll be a regular in terms of attending the sessions from now on. And lovely time I had. I just hope I didn't take a lot of time and
no.
trouble people, because I've observed this thing about myself. Since I've gotten into photography, I've gotten a little forgetful. I go into my own creative world. That's changed, because I used to be a very prim and proper kind of a person, that okay, talk how much is required. But since I've gotten into this creative field, I think hazards of the job. That's how it is. I don't know. It's happened with me. I don't know about everyone else, but yeah, you tend to go into your own imagination and talk probably a little more about the subject that you love.
I
Yeah.
think that happens to all of us, because the moment you're talking about things which you love, which you care, which you find happiness in, we kind of keep lose the track of time. But that's fine. As far
Thank
as
you.
you were talking really
You're,
sensible things, and you really add more value to the people who were listening to it. So
you're
thank
not
you.
you're not makes me feel a lot better now.
No, no, I do the same thing. So I totally do understand. But and we
For
are okay with it.
almost half of the presentation, I was thinking, Nisha must be thinking he talks a lot. He should just finish it. But thankfully, that's not the case. I'll get to know that later once the presentation finishes. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you
no,
for
it was
inviting
really
us.
nice. It was really nice. And you see, the thing is, with every clip of what you have shared, you have added value to it. You had a story, you had reasons why you clicked the picture. So that's what is going to make life easier. That's what is going to add more value to people who are listening to this, because when they see this, if that is going to add some kind of value when they are in the field, that's
I
what this
hope we're
all
able
about.
to help. I hope we're able to help you.
Yeah. So, and we have another question. How do
Uh,
you get these sessions, the notification for these sessions? If you are following our Instagram profile, which is Paws Trails, we will be keep on sharing when is going to be the next one. And in a normal scenario, we do have one session a week. Some there are places, there are weeks where we have 1 to 3 sessions a week, but we try to keep one session at least a week on an in a regular scenario. So 4 to 6 sessions we do in a month. So you can please follow us, and please follow Sushmeet on the Instagram channels, so that you will be posted with our regular updates. So Raghavendra mentioned that thank you, Sushmeet, for a lovely presentation.
well, thank you so much. You're really welcome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
that
so much.
was it for today. So thank you all for being here. And as we just mentioned, the next presentation will be soon. We shall keep you posted through our Instagram channel and through our Facebook as well. Till then, you all please take care, stay safe, and see you soon
Happy
with a new
clicking. Okay.
one. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you, Nisha. Love talking to you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.